Our next speaker has lived a life shaped by movement, meaning, and born in Des Moines, Iowa, but raised across the United States, from Kansas City to North Carolina. Naima Sadik is not a stranger to change or challenge. And yet, it is that very journey of uncertainty that helped her discover her purpose. With a background in criminology and public safety leadership, Naima has worn many hats in the field of law enforcement, from being a police officer and crisis negotiator to serving as a senior civil rights investigator. She's now an instructor at the Iowa Law Enforcement Academy, where she trains hundreds of officers each year, not just in tactics, but in compassion, service, and community accountability. But today, Naima is here not just as a teacher of others, but as a storyteller of her own evolution. Her talk, "Don't Miss Out on Becoming Who You Really Are," is rooted in her lived experiences, her personal losses, and her enduring belief that no matter your past, your circumstances, or the pain you've carried, you can still become the person you were always meant to be. In a world that constantly tells us who to be, Naima reminds us to tune into something deeper, ourselves. Please join me in warmly welcoming to the stage Naima Sadik.
Thank you. Thank you, man. All right. So who are you? Who do people think that you are? Who do you want people to think that you are? Who were you before you became who you are today? Who do you want to become? These are all questions leading to different versions of you, but there's one more version, who you thought you'd be. Don't miss out on becoming who you really are. But how do you get there? Purpose is the essence of who we are, how we choose to contribute to the world. But the identity we choose can divert us from our destiny. Now, some say that your life is predestined, but I believe that there are many versions of who we choose to become based on a weighted value system. A system based on the value we place on all of our cosigners in life, be it our cultural conditioning, our response to experiences, or the opinions of others. I want you to think of all of your cosigners as investors in your identity, but ultimately, you sign off on who you become. I'll take you on my journey of becoming in hopes that it will guide you to your own path of discovering who you really are. I was watching the Jamie Foxx Netflix special, and Jamie said, when you dream about what you want to be, you don't dream tragedy. See, my dreams have been tied to the memory of my father and the hopes that he had of me becoming a better version of him. Early in my life, he was my first cosigner, the person who told me that I could do anything. When I was in elementary school, I had received an A- on my report card, and my father went to the school to refute the minus and got it changed, okay? So I placed high value on my father, and I believed him when he told me that I could do anything. It unlocked a version of me that dreamed of the life that I wanted, and I truly believed that it would come true. So when I was 10 years old, my father died, and he chose to spend his last moments with only me. I had come home from school excited to show him my report card because I had received all A's, and he called me upstairs, but unbeknownst to me, he was having a massive heart attack. We sat in perfect stillness and we talked, and he gave me words of encouragement. He told me that he loved me, and he put his faith in me to take care of my mother and my siblings. I have held on to his words, and they've fueled my ambitions I may not have if he were still alive. His death was an ending to a version of me because the safety net of a father who would do anything to ensure I succeeded vanished from beneath me. For the first time in my life, I felt true fear because my eyes were open to the violence and darkening destitution that had become my daily life. My environment conditioned me to harden my appearance and swallow any dreams of ever becoming more. My societal norms nurtured depressive thoughts, deflated ambitions, and destructive behavior. But while tragedy sprung up all around me like wild weeds, I was never focused on my current situation. Because secretly, while navigating an environment filled with drugs and violence, I held on to the vision of who I wanted to become. I placed very little value on my environmental cosigner that would have me think I could only be the product of unfortunate circumstances. Instead, those unfortunate circumstances created opportunity that allowed a new version of me to emerge who was confident, disciplined, and had unwavering commitment to becoming the most elevated version of myself. Do not let your environment dictate your life. You may be in the same space as a person, but have totally different perspectives. It's like the story of the giraffe and the tortoise, and they're standing in this field, and the giraffe is looking out, and he sees all that's out there, even beyond the trees. And he bends his neck down to tell the tortoise everything that he sees, but the tortoise doesn't believe him because he can only see what's in front of him. Don't give value to those who doubt you. Because while you can look past your current circumstances and see all the possibilities, they may only see what's in front of them. So hold on to the vision of who you want to become. Now, my grandfather, he was the next big investor in my identity. He made no excuses, so he lost his arm tragically as a teenager. He still managed a career as a businessman, a plumber, a roofer, a painter, a carpenter, you name it, he has done it. He'd always say, be who you is, because if you is who you ain't, then you ain't who you is. Now, side note, this is also the same man who would constantly correct our poor grammar, but his favorite saying is grammatically incorrect. But nonetheless, me and my brothers would always work with my grandfather, and he never told me that I couldn't do something. So if they're carrying cinder blocks, I'm carrying cinder blocks. If they're learning to change a tire, I'm learning to change a tire. His mentality was, don't make an excuse for why you can't do something. Make a way around the obstacle that's trying to stop you. My grandfather would ask us, what do you want to do with your life? And when I tell him what I wanted to be, he never allowed doubt to creep into my dreams. He conditioned me to know that, yes, my life would have obstacles, but that did not mean failure. I placed high value on my grandfather's words. They shaped a mindset that did not view failure as a finality. What emerged instead was a version of me that instead of staying frustrated when facing obstacles, I would reassess myself and recalibrate my thoughts. I refused to believe that I couldn't do something. Instead, I would think about all the obstacles I may face and what I would do to overcome them. I built up my mental endurance and birthed a version of me with a so what mentality. So when a brazen 21-year-old me asked to take a meeting with the chief of police to discuss police and community relations, and he looks at me and says, oh, what do you want to do about it? I was ready to embrace a new journey. So what? I had never dreamed of being a police officer. I had already lived in dangerous cities and resolved conflict between violent individuals. And so what if people doubted me and hoped that I'd fail? I had already been told I would do nothing and be nothing. And so what? I had never met anyone who looked like me do what I was preparing to do. I had already created a version of myself who was a fearless peacemaker and change agent. That chief was a co-signer to a version of me that did not look to others to solve problems, but instead chose to become the agent for change. So regardless of your circumstances, live life with a desired outcome in mind. If you feel lost, you're only lost in your thoughts. And I know when the possibilities seem endless, it can stop us dead in our tracks. But when the possibilities are endless, we should travel more than one path. I have been guided by so many people and become a culmination of all of my experiences, and the journey isn't over yet. You don't have to have it all figured out. Embrace life, experience people, and be led on adventures. But remember, what does not add value to your life takes from it. So only give value to what co-signs an identity that reflects the highest version of you. Your purpose is to live a life without limits and pursue relentlessly the idea that anything is possible. The journey to discovering you is the creation of who you really are. So don't be afraid of your story because it created you. So who are you? Who do you want to become? And who did you think that you'd be? Don't miss out on becoming you. Thank you.